Hey y'all, it's me, your girl, the glow up is, and I'm so excited to be with y'all. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be with y'all tonight. Listen. God is in here, man. Listen, God been doing some amazing things in my life, so I know He had to be doing some amazing things in yours, right? Sometimes, right, we could be our biggest enemy, and I'm gonna share with y'all what your girl to put herself in, right? And if y'all looked at the title tonight, you know, lead us not into temptation. This is a real thing. Like, lead us not into temptation. Seriously, we should not be leading ourselves into temptation, right? Um, but first and foremost, I pray that each and every single one of you have had a great week, a great year so far. I know for a lot of us, it may have started off crazy. It's a lot of things that's happening already, y'all. In 2025. I mean, seriously, like, I mean, we got the fires that's happening in California. Um, I mean, back in my hometown in Virginia, they had pipes, water, no water for about 4 days. And some people still don't have water. Some people still don't have power. I'm thankful that my mom and them have water now. Thank God they're able to take a shower instead of using that bottled water and the bird, taking bird baths. But anyways, God is faithful. God is good, and I'm just praying for those of you who may be watching and maybe you're affected as well. So my prayers are with you, and I know that God got this thing because this is what He do, right? He has us all the time. He always makes a way out of no way, even when it seems like we don't even know which way to go. God always has a way of redirecting us right back to who He is, and that's it. That's all we need is the source, right? So, y'all, this is what we do right at the Glow Up is we grow to glow. That is the mission of the Glow Up. Like, in order for us to grow, in order for us to glow, we got to grow. We got to do some things that make us uncomfortable. We have to speak and talk about those things that make us uncomfortable, right? And y'all know how I get, right? I get so transparent. So listen to this. So this week, right, I have been doing a lot better, right, with my health, right? Because for me, I'm like, okay, Toya, you want to eat healthy, right? Because it's the new year, right? And people always talk about new year, new me. I ain't worried about that. Same Toya. I'm gonna always be me to the day that I die. I'm gonna always be me. So I don't know how else to be but be myself. So I'm gonna be myself, okay? But at the same time, right, I made an intentional, decision. Like, I literally was intentional with this thing. Like, okay, listen, we got to get some things underway because we talked about the promise last week, right? We talked about how God doesn't need our help to fulfill the promise. Like, we have to literally take our hands off of it and allow God to be God and not ourselves to be God, right? And so sometimes that don't feel good, but at the same time, right, I'm learning that. I'm learning to accept the things that I cannot change. I'm learning to accept the simple fact that God knows what's best for me, right? And so I'm just learning to be passenger princess. I'm learning that passenger princesses, this is what you call me to be. You want me to be right here. You want me to stay the passenger for the rest of my life. You want to drive, you got it, God. So you know what? You go ahead on and do that thing, right? But sometimes, y'all, right, we find ourselves getting in the way. And so today, right, even though God knows, like me with this health thing and me being intentional with the things that I eat and what I put in my mouth, I had a taste for a donut. And one thing about me, right, when I have a taste for a donut, for me, I was like, listen, I don't know whether if I need to Instacart this thing or whether or not if I need to Grubhub it or how I'm gonna get this donut, right? And so y'all, listen to what your girl did. So I was like, okay, if I go to Instacart or Grubhub, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna have to pay, right, in order to get this donut, right? This one donut. And then if I do Instacart, I'm gonna feel like, I'm more tempted to go ahead and here and get more than just a donut. Okay. Mind you, right? I'm trying to discipline myself. I'm getting to myself, right? I'm being intentional with this, with what I'm putting inside of my body, right? And so even though I have the taste and the thought came in my mind that you want a donut. So I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, I already made up my mind that I'm going to get a donut. I just don't know how I'm going to get the donut. I don't know whether I'm going to go get it or whether or not if I'm going to have somebody send it to me. So I decided that, you know what, maybe it's in my best interest because from past experiences, right? Me knowing me, I do not have enough discipline yet, okay, to say that if I go and onto Instacart, I'm just going to get them to get me one thing, which is going to be a donut. So then I was like, you know what? Instacart is a no-go. So let's try Grubhub or Uber Eats or something, right? So then I looked at that and I was like, no, that don't even feel right. So anyway, what I ended up doing, I was like, let me check some things out and see what I could do. So I knew I had Dunkin' Donuts around near my house, but I also had Krispy Kreme. Krispy Kreme is literally 10 minutes away from the house, right? So I literally gets ready and I'm like, okay, I got a break. Let me go on up here, right? And go get this donut. It's my lunch break. I'm gonna get me a donut and I'm gonna eat it later, right? So I literally goes to Krispy Kreme. Mind y'all, the light is on. I pull up, the light is on. Okay. And most of the time for me, I don't know about y'all, but listen, I love me a hot glazed donut. I love it. It just tastes so good. It just melts in your mouth. You get what I'm saying? So I could taste all of these things and I could taste it before I could taste it. Do that make sense? It's crazy, right? Because we know, right? So y'all, I'm working myself up to it. I'm all excited to get to the counter. So I'm like, okay, let me go ahead on over here and get this donut. So I get ready to order the donut. And so the guy is like, okay, so you're gonna pay $2.69 for one donut. And I say, yes, I am. And he said, well, you can get the pack, you can get the 3-pack for $4.69. All you have to do is just add $2 more. You can get 2 more donuts. And I'm like, no, that's not what I came here for. And then he was like, but I'm saying, I said, I hear exactly what you're saying. So I had to tell him thank you, but no thank you. Right. And he said, okay, all right. So he took my money and gave me the change, right? And so I'm like, oh my God, it just smells so good, right? And I wanted the original glazed donut. I said, Toya, if you don't hurry up and get in this car, because if you don't get yourself in this car right now, you're gonna talk yourself into going back into Krispy Kreme and you're gonna go get that original glazed donut. Why? Because the light is on. The light is on, right? And so the thing about it is, right? And what I didn't realize at that moment, I was like, wow, everything could have changed for me literally in just that one moment. But anyway, y'all, I got back home and was getting excited about the donut, right? So I'm like, oh my God, I got to say this until later. I got to say this until later, right? Because I'm trying to be intentional with my eating, but I'm also trying to be intentional with just the timing that I eat too, right? Just the time, right? And so I literally put it to the side and I started thinking about that thing. And I looked at the little sheet of paper that they had gave me, right? That the donut came in. Y'all, ask me why they don't put a free get a donut, right? If you download the app for Krispy Kreme. And I said, Lord have mercy, where is the temptation gonna stop? And I literally was talking to my friend a few moments ago, and I was telling her, I said, girl, they got a free, like all I had to do literally, y'all, was just download the app and then you get a free donut. And I was just like, this is not right. This is just not right. Right? This is nothing. This is the enemy for real. So I wanted to talk to y'all tonight, man, because we have to be mindful, right, that we do not lead ourselves into temptation. And I say this because sometimes what happens is that things look good, it sound good, it feel good, and because we've experienced those things before, right, we don't realize the results of the consequences of the things that can happen to us because we lead ourselves into temptation, right? So the main thing is, right, is that we have to stand for something. And I don't know about y'all, but listen, I was like, listen, my word was, no, I'm not doing it, right? And I had already said it in my mind, but I had to learn too, like, okay, you can't just be dipping and dodging and not going places because you don't feel like you're able to discipline yourself right now, right? But now you got to learn. So, y'all, for me to be able to have done that and just got one donut, I am very, very proud of myself. Very, very proud of myself for that. But listen, you got to grow, right, in order to glow. And this was my transparency moment tonight, y'all. I had to get on here and to share this with somebody because the thing is, right, is that sometimes we can put things on ourselves and we don't put realistic expectations on ourselves, right? I could have easily just been like, nah, I'm not going to get that donut. I'm gonna just go ahead on and I'm not even gonna do it, right? And then sometimes the reality is too, is that even though we be wanting, the donut, right? Because it could have been something else. It could have been pizza. And those of you who know me, you know that I love me some pizza, right? And so I'm thankful for that, because I can give myself like literally give myself a pat on the back, because the reality is, for me to just have eaten one donut, man, that's a blessing. Because y'all, I almost spent $4. I almost spent that extra $2 to get me two regular glazed donuts. But anyway, I digress. So what I want to do tonight, man, is talk about Matthew chapter 4. And you can definitely go back in your own leisure to read it. But I wanted to talk about temptation, because temptation is a real thing. And I know that we all deal with that. Like, in all seriousness, I know we all deal with temptation. We all want the things. And last week, right, we talked about the promise and how God doesn't need us to help him to fulfill the promise. But a lot of times what happens is that the enemy uses things around us, right? He uses the things that we've already gone through. He uses our past experiences, right, to try to dictate to us who we are. He tries to use those past experiences, those past habits, those things that we used to do, to try to use them against us. But what I'm learning is, right, is that I know me too. The enemy knows me, but I know me too, right? And I got to be real with myself. Is that if Toya really wanted that whole thing of donuts, Toya would have went and got it. Toya would have actually did it, right? And most of the time, for real, I actually would have ordered it and just got me a whole dozen of donuts. And who is that really hurting? It's hurting me. It's doing more damage to me than it is to anybody else, right? And so that's what the enemy wants. He wants us to be stuck. He doesn't want us to learn from the things that it is that we're supposed to be doing. And so when I'm going into Matthew chapter 4, right? When God is talking, like literally, to the enemy, he's going back and forth with the enemy in this thing, because the enemy is just literally trying to call God, like calling Jesus out. He's calling Jesus out, and he's letting Jesus know, like, look, listen, go ahead and eat the bread. And what you didn't know, right, is that right before this, right before he was led to be tempted, right, he had just finished fasting, y'all. Listen. I don't know about y'all, but listen. And I'm this type of person, right? I can be very transparent. Be very transparent with y'all right now, because um I'm supposed to be in a fast mode, right? And I am, right? I'm in a fast mode, but my mental is not there, right? And so for me, my mental, my spirit, my heart, everything has to be there. And I'm thankful that God deals with us individually, right? Because the reality is that, if you're not real with yourself, you can never really truly heal. Like, you can't. Um Yes, mom. When that light is on, you would have ate. Yes, yeah, thanks, mom. My mom just calling me all out, y'all. She calling me all out. She was like, when that light is on, you would have ate three. You did super good. But y'all, listen to this. So the thing that's beautiful about God, and just the demonstration, just even knowing that Jesus had to go through this thing, right? Because that's why it's so important for us to set aside time for Jesus, right? And for God, and building our relationship. Because if we don't build our relationship up with God, we can't truly discipline ourselves. We can't truly have a heart to be intentional with our fast, right? We can't be intentional with the time spending with God, and we can't actually fulfill what it is that he's called for us to fulfill if we don't take the time to study him, to take the time to really understand who God is, right? And what he has to say about our lives, right? And who we are in ourselves, and who he is, right? And so, I'm doing this fast, right? And I'm just like, okay, I gotta get this thing going. I gotta get it going. And it was just nothing that was just, it wasn't happening for me. It just was not happening for me. And it was just like, I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to get there. And I did good the first day. I did good the second day. But then all of a sudden it was just like, I'm not really there. And so I had to ask God to really help me, right, with that, because the reality is that I have to be intentional, and I have to take control over this flesh of mine, because this flesh can't win. This flesh can't win. I got to have power over this flesh. Like, my spirit, I have to have enough spiritual word inside of me in order for this flesh to say, in order for my spirit to rise up and tell the enemy to flee, just like Jesus did when he was talking to him. You get what I'm saying? Because I have to be able to repeat the word. Because listen, the enemy know the word, but the enemy knows us, right? And I say all of this because that's why I say sometimes it's good for us to be able to go back to our past experiences and our past habits, because some of us, we think that we learn from our past experiences. We think that we learn from our habits, but yet we're still doing some of the same things that we used to do. You see what I'm saying? It may not mean nothing to you, but just like my mama said, that light was on, you would have got 2, 3 donuts back in the day. You would have definitely, and let's be clear, that back in the day when I talk about it, I ain't talking about years ago. I'm talking about probably a few months ago. Maybe just a month ago, I probably would have got that. Or I probably would have went and got me a pizza. I'm just saying. Why? Because that's something that I enjoy, right? And it brings pleasure to my flesh. It feels good, it tastes good, it does all of those things for me. And that's what we do, right? Instead of us just taking the time to be intentional with God and putting God there instead, right? But then also learning discipline, learning that, you know what, I don't even got to go and get all of these extra things today. I don't even need to go do this. Let me go over here and examine myself. Let me examine what's in my heart on today. Let me examine the habits that I've been doing. What are the patterns? What are the trends that you see, God? Help me to be able to help me to be able to see, you know, God, you throughout this process. Because the thing was, right, is that even though I was going through all of these different circumstances while I was going to Krispy Kreme, right, and the light was on, and I was just like, wow, it was almost like, it was just like literally, I was Jesus, right? And all of the obstacles was the enemy, because here comes the light. I pulled up at the right time, at the, well, really the wrong time, but you know, in regular season, it would have been the right time, right? Because the light was on. Not only was the light on, but then here come the man. He like, well, you just add $2 more, you can get those donuts that you want, that you smell so good. And what we talk about all the time, we talk about those habits, right? We talk about what we see. We talk about the things that we smell, the things that we taste. We talk about our senses and how our senses can get it wrong. Like sometimes we have to literally ignore our senses. Y'all, that thing hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was like, oh my God, if I just sit here and I just ignored a lot of my senses, I would probably be just fine. Because I sit there and I'm like, God, this is what God had to remind me of, is that you are my passenger princess. And because you are my passenger princess, you don't need to know where you're going, right? You don't need to understand why things are happening the way they're happening. But I need for you to also get to the next level, right? And in order for us to get to that next level, it's some things that we got to unlearn. It's some things that we got to let go of. But we also have to be intentional with our discipline. We have to be mindful of how we bring things and real things back in. Listen, I'm going to tell you straight up. Listen, I still got a whole lot of things that I'm working on. God knows that I've been working on. You know, I've been talking to y'all about me and the cussing, right? Because listen, sometimes for me, that's what I do. I just cuss, right? And it just come out, and I just be like, "Great day, did that thing just come out like that?" And and I ask God for forgiveness, but I've gotten a lot better, right? Because at the end of the day, I've learned that I can't do things and I can't move in that way. But because, right, sometimes the enemy will try to test you, and he'll try to bring people around you to remind you of the certain version that you used to be, right? Which probably was just a couple of weeks ago. I'm just being honest with y'all. This is me being transparent. Some of us really do need to examine our hearts. And when we ask God, God, help me to see my heart, and when he reveals you to you, accept it, accept the truth, accept your emotions, accept that you accept the simple fact that you don't have the answers, that you don't have it all, that you don't get it all the way right all the time, that you don't know it all, right? Help us to be able to understand that. But the thing is that God says, if you just uproot yourself and take the time to spend with me, you can be able to discipline yourself. So when things like this do happen, right, you have enough word inside of you, and you have enough discipline inside of you that you could use the word and to be able to execute, right? And to be able to live it out and push out the results of what it is that you need to get done. Because think about it. If I literally took advantage of the Krispy Kreme and I really allowed temptation, right, to fulfill itself, right, and not just be satisfied with just the one donut, right? Because that's the thing, one was more than enough. But because my eyes seen the light and because I heard, I heard the man literally, right, telling me how much it was. And I knew I had that amount of money on me because I was about to get change anyway, right? Like all of these things was already working together, right? For my good or for my bad, right? It was working for my bad, really. Because if I really would have succeeded and got those donuts, y'all, my health probably would suffer. Why? Because I've literally intentionally been eating well this week, right? And so because I've been eating well, then my body, all of a sudden, you just begin to put sugar inside of it. And then all of a sudden, you're like, what in the world? What is happening? And then you begin to crave more and more sugar. And that's what the enemy wants from us. He wants us to not succeed. He doesn't want us to win. He doesn't want us to win. And so we cannot just be up in here just leading ourselves into temptation, not intentionally. Now, the beautiful part about, Matthew chapter 4 was that the Holy Spirit led him into the wilderness to be tempted, right? Because what the Holy Spirit knew was that Jesus was ready. Jesus was ready to show us the way. Jesus was ready to be able to show us how to fight the enemy. He was showing us exactly what it is that we do. Even when we need to wrestle against those things that don't make sense, even when we need to wrestle against those things that we're not comfortable with talking about, right? God has a way of being able to show us, right, through his son, that you know what, when you're going through something, you gotta be able to you gotta be able to give that word out. You got to be able to talk and give me that word right back at me. Because if I don't have that word in me, right, I can feel defeated. And I know that Jesus was hungry. I know Jesus was hungry because he probably was like, look, listen, I just literally just left you, God. You know that we was spending time. You was giving me the word. We was working on a plan, and you were sharing with me the will that you have for my life, right? But Jesus said, "Okay, I'm being led to be tempted." And so now I have to show myself approved. Now I have to show God what I am capable of. I have to be able to show, the people that are going to need me, that's going to need an example. I'm going to have to show Toya, right, the way, right? Make that thing personal. Put your name there. Jesus literally had to come and show us the way. He had to show us the proper way on how to defeat things. And sometimes, y'all, we try to defeat things with all of the things of the world, and we cannot do it. Because at the end of the day, right, those things that we can't see, right, those things that we can't see with our physical eyes, but we know because our spirit can feel or sense it, right, and the energy and the frequencies and all of these different things that God has already instilled in us because he's already made us in his image. Like, y'all, this thing is real. Like, we literally have to be able to give the enemy the word back, because we cannot be out here just leading ourselves into temptation. Why not allow God, right, to be able to lead us into temptation? Like, if this thing is led by the Spirit, that means that God wants me to grow through this thing. That means that I still got some more work to do. That means that I still got some more purpose to fulfill. That means that I got something that's bigger than me. That means I got something great on the inside. Because guess what? The enemy, I wouldn't have even been led, right? And this is the thing that I think about. I wouldn't have even been led into the wilderness if the enemy didn't know, right, that it's something about her or it's something about him. It's something about us, y'all. It's just something about us that the enemy already knows. See, the enemy knows that it's something great, that God got a plan for them. I don't know what the plan is, but God got a plan for them. But I know that sore spot. I know the weakness. So if I can get the weakness in her face, then that'll stop her. Yeah, that'll work because it worked before. Let me try it. Let's see if I set the scene up, how she gonna act. Let me see if she's disciplined enough in order to respond the right way. Y'all, this thing hit me like a ton of bricks because this is the thing. God will literally lead you sometimes into it, right? Because he knows that you are capable of winning. He already knows because guess what? He says, I'm with you. When he said that I would never leave you nor forsake you, do you really believe that God really left your side, that he really leaves you when you're going through the things that you go through? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because when he tells you that he's with you even in the wilderness. He's with you even when you don't feel like yourself, even when you got all of these different emotions, even when you're having anxiety, you feel overwhelmed and things just don't feel like it's going the way that you want them to go. God is still there. And guess what? Sometimes that's when he's even more present because he wants to just wrap you in his arms. So he wants to love on you and he wants to show you who you really are. And he wants to show you that you are his daughter, that you are his before you're anybody's. You're his. You belong to him. And that's the thing. And that's why we have to be so intentional because our flesh is so weak. Our flesh is so weak because of the habits that we've taught it, because of the things that we have to unlearn. And we lead our own selves into temptation. And then next thing you know, we're like, God, come and save us. Come get me out of this thing. And I'm not saying that God can't and God won't, because God definitely will. But sometimes he wants you to be strong. He wants you to see how strong you really are. He wants to see how strong your faith is. Do you trust that he's going to get you up out of this thing? Do you trust that everything is going to work just fine? Do you really believe that everything is working together for your good? Let's make that thing personal. Do you really believe that everything is working together for your good? Even the things that don't make sense. Even the water this week, right? Because a lot of people, y'all, got tested this week. They got tested even with their own kids. Listen. Some kids, some parents really realized that I should not be parenting. Why? Because they were stuck at the house with their kids. I had seen it so bad. It was really sad. And I was really praying for those parents because I was like, Lord have mercy. If y'all don't like y'all own kids, what make y'all think that the teachers like them? What makes you think that the teachers want to deal with them? I mean, you had a lot of people that was literally just like, oh my God, I just cannot wait till these kids go back to school because I'm tired of them. They eating up everything in the house. They doing this and they doing this and they doing this. I mean, it was just some things that was just very inappropriate that they were putting out there. Right. And I was just like, wait a minute, you a parent. I mean, it was just crazy. It was crazy, but I was praying for them, not just judging them. You know what I'm saying? But I was really praying for them, right? Because I knew some of these people, like majority of my Facebook friends, I actually know these people in real life. So I'm literally sitting here like, okay, ooh, and then y'all call yourselves Christian. Wait a minute now. And you don't even like the little Christians that you made. Wait a minute. This don't even sound right. This don't even feel right. But enough of that, right? Because it got real, right? And so the thing about it is like that's why I said we have to be, intentional with who we are, but we also have to be mindful, right? And appreciative for the things that we have. We have to be we have to be. Because the thing is, man, is that sometimes we don't realize it, right? But we can take things for granted. We can take the water for granted. I think a lot of people took that for granted, right? And that's just a basic essential thing for life, right? Is that there were a lot of different things that we could learn throughout these hardships. And even now, right now, here in Charlotte, it's snowing. It's snowing right now. I don't know what's going to happen, but I just trust God. You see what I'm saying? I'm here by myself. I just trust God. I just know that God got me. You see what I'm saying? I'm thankful for life, though. And that's the thing is that the enemy wants us to get so wrapped up and rattled with all of the things that's surrounding us that he doesn't want us to face and actually tackle the thing that's inside of us. He doesn't want us to tap into what's inside of us because he knows that greater is he that is within us that is in this whole world. Do you get what I'm saying? Like some of us haven't even tapped into the God in us yet. Some of us are even, I don't even know whether or not if we've even talked to the God in us. I mean, and it's been 10 days into the new year. Have we even spoken to God yet? Have we even thanked God for just waking us up this morning? You see what I'm saying? And we lead our own selves into temptation because Paul told us in Romans 7 that we don't even know, right? The things that I want to do, I don't do. The things that I'm supposed to do, I don't do those things that I'm supposed to do. I keep doing the wrong thing. And when I keep doing the wrong thing, what is that that's working in me? It is my sinful nature. Those are the habits. Those are the things that lead us into temptation, y'all. But we got to let those things go. And if we don't let those things go, they will grow. And when they grow, there is no glow. You see what I'm saying? Girl, that thing hit me like a ton of bricks, y'all. I'm going to tell you what. But it blessed me all at the same time because when I realized, even in that whole situation and how, Jesus went through that in his temptation in Matthew chapter 4. And y'all need to read that at your own leisure, man. Check Matthew chapter 4 out. Like the enemy was really trying to go hard. He was really out here trying to, he was really out here trying Jesus. And I mean, he could have weighed him down, but God knew he was ready for it. God knew that he was ready to be tempted by the enemy. God is calling us higher. He knows. He knows our struggles. He knows the things that we deal with on a regular basis. He knows it. Like God knows it already. And he's already overcome the world. So what's our excuse? Why we not doing the work? Yeah. Yeah, y'all. Yeah. Look at the interaction on the side. We got to heal it and not just push it down. Absolutely. We do. We got to take that step, y'all. We got to take the first step with healing. And with healing comes discipline, right? And discipline don't feel good. Sometimes it don't. It don't feel good. Sometimes it's a no, right? But I'm not so harsh to myself. And what I'm learning too, even in this race of just living in this life journey, right? I'm learning to make healthier choices. And so even with my food, right, I'm being mindful of it, right? But also at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to deprive myself of the things either that I want, but I still have to discipline myself to say, no, that's too much. Maybe you're okay with one and just be good with one, even if you have to pay more. Because even though in your mind, you're like, man, I may as well get this because it costs about the same thing. But it's like, no, nope. Get it's exactly what you said that it was. Listen, the enemy will literally have you questioning yourself. Am I doing the right thing for me? Like you don't know you. Like you ain't in charge of you. Yes, I know exactly what I'm doing. And sometimes you gotta put your flesh in its place. Listen, I had to put my flesh in my place, and I was like, look, Toya, we going up in here. We're gonna get one done. I literally have to sit there sometimes to talk to myself. I say, yep, I see the light. I see the light. But at the end of the day, we going up in here and we're gonna grab that one donut. And that's all we doing. You're gonna take $5 in here and that's it. I end up taking 10. But I was disciplined enough. Even though it smelled good. And even though the man was right there and he literally was in there talking to me. Y'all, that thing got real. It got all the way real. Because we cannot allow ourselves to get like we can't allow ourselves to stop us to receiving the promise and to be able to fulfill the purpose that God has called on our life. Like I don't know about y'all, but listen, I know when I get to heaven, I want God to be like, look, listen, I am pleased with your life. Listen, you ain't always been you ain't always been wrapped too tight, Toya, but you was able to get it, you was able to get it together. You was able to pull it together. I want people to be able to say, I saw the God in her. Like, regardless of what it is that I do or how I am, right? And I'm learning. I'm learning. Every day is a learning thing for me because at the end of the day, right? I don't have all the answers. I'm not perfect. I'm far from it, right? And if anything, I need God. I need God 25/8. I need God 25/8. Do you hear what I'm saying? I do. I need him. I need him because if I don't have God, I'm capable of choosing the wrong choices. And sometimes I still make the wrong choices, even with God. I make the wrong choices because I ain't trying to do what God want me to do. I don't know who else that was for, but that was for somebody else on here too listening. You hear what I'm saying? Like, seriously, sometimes we just do the things that we want to do because it feel good and we used to doing it. But God says, I want you to do a new thing. I want to do a new thing in you. I want you to be like Jesus. I want you to be able to tell that enemy, look him straight up in the face and tell him to get away from me. I'm done with you. We breaking up. I will not be on this playground no more. I don't want to be on this playground no more. I don't want to do the things that you want me to do no more. You see what I'm saying? Y'all. And sometimes, that thing don't feel good sometimes because you so used to doing the things of the flesh, you so used to doing and blending in with the world. Ouch. Woo, that's a real one right there. We get so wrapped up in blending in with the world that people don't even see the difference. People don't even get to see the light because we're not then leaning on his understanding. We begin to lean on our own understanding. And it's crazy because, it's real. Absolutely, Mom. Without God, we are nothing. People walking around living life but dead in the spirit. That's some real stuff. Like you really got people out here literally believing that they out here that I'm living my best life. I'm doing everything, but you just as miserable on the inside. You got a smile on the outside. But if we were to really see your spirit, you just as dead as can be and stinking up the place. Stinking up the place. It's a real thing. Listen, it's a real thing. That thing is real. That's why I said we gotta lean out. We gotta lean not into temptation. Like we can't lead us not into temptation. Like we cannot lead our own selves into temptation, y'all. And some of us, we our biggest enemy, man. We can be in our own way. Some of us still connected to people that God had told us to let go of. I don't know who that's for on here. But listen, some of us out here literally trying to be God, trying to save them. We feel like we can save them. And God had told you already to let them people go. And you still around them. You still associating yourself with them. And you wonder why you ain't got no peace. You wonder why you ain't got no joy. You wonder why everything working for everybody else and it ain't working for you because you still connected to some people that don't even need to be around you. Like their spirits, you feel it when you're around them. Their spirits are not right. You literally have to make sure that you are covering the God in you. The God in you is one of the most precious things, I'm telling you. And I say it because, listen, I tell people all the time, respect my G. Respect my G. If you ain't got no respect for my G, you ain't got no respect for me. I don't need to be around you. I shouldn't be talking to you. Nope, I ain't even associating myself with you. Yep, I'm not all the way there, but listen, I'm trying to get there. And my thing is, at the end of the day, if you ain't trying to get there, I ain't trying to be on the same wavelength that you going. Because if I continue to follow you, if I continue to be around you, I'm gonna bust hell wide open, and I refuse to do it. Nope. See, I got enough common sense now. You get what I'm saying? To really understand. Like God that gave us sense, and some of us act like we don't even know how to use our own common sense that God has given us. Listen, I'm gonna tell you what God will say. Listen, I done took and told you who's for you. I done revealed to you who's for you and who ain't. I done told you to leave that man alone. I done told you to leave that woman alone. I done told you to walk up out the door. Because all of these things, what happens? They can lead us into temptation. I told you to cut the phone off at a certain time because it's going to lead you into temptation. It's going to lead you into the pits of hell. Somebody need to hear it just like that. Y'all, some of us is just out here entertaining conversations with people that we shouldn't even be entertaining. You know goodness where that man is married. You know goodness where that woman is married. The divorce ain't finalized. They can easily reconcile. I'm just saying, y'all, because some of us that got so used to being, you know what I'm saying, in a situationship where God can't even bless us, right? God can't even bless us with the real relationship that he's called us into. Y'all, I don't know about y'all, but I don't want no situationship. God, don't be leading me into that temptation. Like, you see what I'm saying? I'm like, God, don't be leading me that. God ain't gonna lead you into a situationship. You gonna lead you into a situationship. Why? Because you around those people that you shouldn't be around. Listen, I'm gonna tell you what, your friends say a lot about you. And y'all, listen, I got a few friends. I don't have a lot of friends. I call people family that's close to me. You know what I'm saying? I call people, a lot of people, you know what I'm saying, that I have that are friends that I call them like family. You know what I'm saying? But I'm very mindful of how I use that word friend because I don't have a lot of those. I'm thankful, you know what I'm saying, for the few that I have, and they know who they are. I'm thankful. I'm thankful for them. Because one thing about my friends, listen, they gonna call me out, and they know goodness well Toya gonna call them out too. Why? Because that's what we do. We iron sharpen and iron, man. Listen, no sis, no bro left behind. You hear me? Yeah, but it's boundaries to this thing. And so I can't be out here trying to lead you somewhere and you lead me to temptation and I'm leading you into temptation and we both just out here temptations. We become the temptations, the tempted temptations. Listen, that ain't what God called us. God didn't call us for that. So lead us not into temptation, man, and deliver us from all of the evil because that's what's gonna happen. The evil is right, the evil is near. And this is what the enemy wants us to do. Like the enemy wants us to literally be stuck. He doesn't want us to win. He doesn't want us to have the right people around us. He wants us to be so involved in temptation, right? That we forget about God's purpose, that we forget why we were even brought here into this world in the first place, right? To show people who He is, to be the living examples, to be the living sacrifices that He's called us to be, to fulfill the purpose that it is that He's called us to be and purposed us to be. Can't nobody do it like you do. Listen, not the pastor, not nobody. Listen, God will, I'll be out here literally, God is out here literally guiding right now, right? Because at the end of the day, yep, life is definitely life, but God is still in control. God still sits on the throne. I ain't worried about President Trump. I'm not worried about nobody or nothing. Like I can't worry about the water supply. I can't worry about the thing. Listen, things that I cannot control, I just can't worry about it. Things that's beyond me, I can't worry about it. I'm like, God, you're gonna always provide a way. There's always gonna be a way out. There's always gonna be an answer to the problem. Even if I have to reach out, right? Even if I have to open my mouth, because this is who you created us to be. Like, God, I'm seeking you, right? And I'm loving on you. And why would I not think that you're gonna not love me that? Why would you not give me the love, right? That I so desire. Like we can't be in relationships if we don't even receive, if we can't even receive God's love. Listen, temptation is big. Temptation is a real thing, man. So y'all, next week, I'm excited because we're gonna be out here just talking. We're gonna be out here just talking and we're gonna be just continuing to grow, to glow. And this is what we do, right? At the Glow Up is this is what we do. We grow to glow. Yes. And when you don't worry, God shows up. Don't doubt God. Yes, we can't, T. We can't. We can't be out here doubting God. That's right, T. We can't. Because at the end of the day, that's what God does. God shows up every single time. Will you show up though? Because see, listen, God says my part is guaranteed. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Are you ready for this new thing that I'm trying to do in your life? Or are you just gonna sit there in this temptation? Or are you just gonna let the enemy just keep on hyping you up and you just want to just keep on not getting everything that it is that you deserve down here? I want you to live your life here. I want you, y'all, listen, I'm gonna tell you what, I am so content. And I don't know why people feel the need to be like, you know what, you need to be traveling. You should be doing this. You don't have kids. You don't listen. I love the comfort of my own home that God blessed me with. Okay. That He allows me to pay mortgage at. Okay. And I go out from time to time, but I ain't trying to be out like that. Y'all, I'm almost 40 years old. I ain't trying to be out here just, I'm sorry. I'm just not. You know what I'm saying? I'm not that type of person that just never been that type of person, to be honest with you, right? And I think that's one of the things too, is that we got to be true with ourselves. Like what you do and what worked for you, it don't work for me. It may not work for me. And guess what? That's okay. So live your life the best way that you see fit for you. Like, seriously, be honest with yourself. Be real with yourself because at the end of the day, what we putting on for? Who are you putting on for? Who cares what other people think? It's about what God thinks about you. That's all I'm saying. So lead us not into temptation, y'all. Lead us not into temptation. Listen, listen, listen. I hope and pray that y'all got something out of this message tonight because listen, when I tell y'all I'm talking to y'all, I promise y'all I'll be talking to me. This is how we grow, right? This is what we do at the Glow Up is we grow to glow. And we're going to keep this thing going. This is a new year. I'm excited. I'm excited for you, sis. I'm excited for you, bro. I'm excited for us because this is what we're doing. We're growing to glow. So I'm going to see y'all next week. I appreciate all of the love, all of the participation on tonight. Oh my gosh, this was so amazing. I'm so thankful. And please, 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 if you know that this message has touched you in any way and you know that it's going to bless somebody else, please share it. Please, please, please share it. Subscribe to the channel. I love y'all. And I'm going to see y'all next week. Bye.